Thanks for being here this afternoon. Let me just say first, I want to thank the Chief for my Waterbury City Police notebook, which I'll use in the Office of the Attorney General. Let me also just start by thanking the men and women of the Waterbury Police Department and their staff. It's not just the officers, but everybody who runs this department and who's part of the fabric of law enforcement that keep this wonderful city and this community safe. Thank you for your work and your sacrifices every single day to keep people here and families safe, not just in this area, but across the state and across the region, which is why we're here today. Back in February, I just pulled it up on my phone, there was a story about Waterbury police officers who responded to a stolen car, found two women in a stolen car at the intersection of Johnson and Fairview Streets. The two women had stolen a red Hyundai Elantra, and as they pursued them, they got into an interaction, and as a result, the stolen car accelerated and crashed into the police cruiser head-on. And so what we're about to talk about is, for this department, for this chief, for these officers, for this community, is not a theoretical issue. It's not something that happens to other people. It happened to us here in Waterbury. And it's something that is happening with increasing frequency across the country. And I'm talking about auto theft, but in particular, the stealing of Hyundais and Kias. And as a result of that spike in these incidents, state attorneys general back in March went to Hyundai and Kia and said, you guys have to do something. You've put products on the street that are unsafe because they're easily hot-wired and stolen, more easily hot-wired and stolen than other cars. There have been huge advances in anti-theft technology, and yet you, Kia and Hyundai, two of the biggest car manufacturers in the world, who put a lot of products out here on the streets in Connecticut, have not taken adequate steps to make sure that your automobiles cannot be stolen, or at least putting in theft deterring technology and devices in these cars. Unfortunately, our efforts as a community of states to lean on the two manufacturers has not yet yielded a meaningful response. You know, they're talking a good game. They're saying that they're doing voluntary advisories and awareness to their customers, and if you go in the dealership, maybe you'll get some help, but that's not enough. And so as a result, today I'm announcing that a coalition of states, 17 states and the District of Columbia, are now taking the next step, escalating to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, to call on NHTSA and to force, through NHTSA, Hyundai and Kia to take vehicles manufactured between 2011 and 2022 off of the market that don't have anti-theft technology and that don't have steering wheel locks and other technology that makes it difficult to steal these cars. So between 2011 and 2022, 11 years, okay, over that 11-year period, these companies, Hyundai and Kia, chose not to include anti-theft devices when every other manufacturer was putting anti-theft technology in their cars. And as a result, we're seeing a spike in the theft of these specific cars at a much higher rate than any other automobile make and model. And this has become a real issue, not just for Waterbury and for residents, but for young people. And so the way I originally got engaged in this, in part, is because on TikTok and other social media, we were seeing videos that show young people how to steal these cars. You know, how to get into a Kia or a Hyundai and hotwire it quickly. And these videos are prolific. And that's why state attorneys general went after TikTok and other social media companies to try to compel them to take it down, to take down that content and those videos. They did respond, but whatever they're doing is not working. Okay, people are still getting access to these videos, and that's why, as a result, Connecticut has joined with the majority of states in launching an investigation of the social media platforms, including TikTok and Facebook, not just for this reason, but because of a variety of very dangerous content. So we're here today to say that NHTSA needs to pull these cars off the road immediately because these vehicles violate federal requirements that they have a starting system that prevents the activation of the engine or motor and steering system when the key is removed, that the Hyundais and Kias in this period are unreasonably vulnerable to hot wiring. That has created obviously an unreasonable risk and public safety risk, not just to residents, but to police officers and law enforcement. The surging thefts of unsafe Hyundais and Kias has sucked away valuable law enforcement resources. The chief needs to focus on other issues, and yet you have to focus on these cars and these thefts because of it. And the company's response, sort of a phased public awareness campaign, will help you if you call us, is not sufficient, not enough. So the 17 states in the district are pushing NHTSA now to take this action to pull cars off of the street. If they don't do that, we will evaluate all of our options and our legal options, and we'll take necessary action to protect people here in Waterbury and across the state. So thank you for being here today, and I want to introduce my partner in this, our Chief of Police, Fernando Spagnola. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Attorney General Tong. The job of the police department here in Waterbury is to provide services and safety to our community and address the quality of life issues that impact the members that live here of our community and the residents of the city of Waterbury. So I just want to start by saying that I am grateful, the Waterbury Police Department is grateful when we receive the support and the assistance of other agencies, state agencies, in this particular case the Attorney General's office, holding manufacturers to task that have a hand in some of the crime that occurs in our city. As Attorney General Tong pointed out, that one incident with the two girls in the Hyundai that rammed our police car, this causes a significant issue to the community as a whole, not just the police department. Officers put their safety and their lives at risk and in peril each and every day when they go out on the street. And when access to stealing a motor vehicle, such as in the case of these particular cars, such as in the case of the information available on the internet for anyone to see and understand the ease in which you could take one of these cars, raises that level of safety concern and peril of life for some of our police officers. And that has a direct impact on what we're able to do here in servicing our community. It has an impact on the amount of money that it costs to take care of our police officers who are injured in these particular situations. It certainly has an impact on property damage and in some cases injuries to bystanders or just members of our community that are going about their way when one of these stolen cars is in the area and ends up out of control or crashing into another vehicle on the road. So we appreciate the support. We stand by our Attorney General, and we continue to welcome the help from a state level that we've received for many years now here in Waterbury, and we're thankful for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Let me say that the mayor, Neil O'Leary, wanted to be here today. At the last minute, he couldn't make it, but the mayor is a strong supporter of this work and the former police chief. Let me also recognize my colleagues in the legislature, State Representative Ron Napoli and State Representative Joe Paletta. Thank you both for being here. Thank you. And I think we don't have anybody else joining us today, and with that, I'll take questions. Do we have an alder here? Vernon Matthews, please join us. And I know that the police officers and the local union here in Waterbury are supportive of these efforts. This is all about them and helping them do their jobs. And so I want to thank them again for their tremendous service to all of us. Questions?
What steps do you want Hyundai to take immediately?
I want them to pull these cars off the road now. And I don't want to hear how much money that's going to cost. They know this is a problem. These vehicles are unsafe because they can be easily stolen. They know that there are videos all over social media showing people um, how to how to boost them, how to steal them, and they can't rely on local police departments to hand out steering wheel locks and to take care of this issue ourselves. It's on these manufacturers who have the resources to make this happen. This is not the first recall, by the way, of automobiles anybody has ever seen. The Office of the Attorney General was part of a coalition that went hard after Volkswagen when Volkswagen committed fraud in emissions testing. And so the industry can handle this. Hyundai and Kia, by the way, aren't some small mom and pop boutique brand, right? They've got the resources. They can make it happen, take these cars off the road, or put a real program in place where you bring the cars into dealerships and fix them now. Oh, and by the way, like a software patch, which I've heard about, that isn't really available right now, that's not going to do it either.
Do you know how many cars this would affect the ballpark number?
Okay, they recall it, take it off the road, and then what? What's the next step?
They have to install. I'm not a mechanic, so I'm not one of those guys that can pop a hood and take care of his own car. And frankly, in this day and age, who can, right? Cars are so complicated now, right? That the number of us who can do like you used to be able to do and fix your own car, there's very few of us. So whatever it is technically that they need to do to make these cars as steel-proof as possible, they have to do that.
Do you know how many cars this would affect roughly?
I don't know how many cars, but it's thousands across the country. One of our partners in this is Attorney General Rob Bonta of California. So coast to coast, state attorneys general are on this issue together.
Chief, when these videos started coming out, did you see a rise in Mondays in this neck of the woods?
Yeah, so this all started in 2021, really in the Midwest. It started in Milwaukee. We started to see and get reports of this, on intelligence bulletins, and then in 2022 is when we started to see the do-it-yourself videos start to appear on the internet, and that's when we saw an increase here in Waterbury. We started recovering cars, which we hadn't seen in a very long period of time, that had exposed steering columns that were broke open. We were finding USB cords hanging from the steering columns. We started to do some research and realized really how easy it is for these cars to be hot wired. It's merely just breaking the steering column open and using a phone charger to bypass the chip system and just start the car.
Yeah, but did you see the increase in Mondays?
We did see an increase in those cars in July of 22, beginning in July of 22, shortly after these do-it-yourself or how-to videos came out on the internet.
And the rough footage of all the cars stolen, I mean, the 20% bump in those particular models?
I don't have an actual percentage number, but it was a significant amount.
You have the total of how many cars have been stolen since that time, either here in Waterbury or across the state,
Since
since July? Just
how many cars have been stolen in Waterbury? All cars or just?
no, Hyundais and Kias.
I don't have that number. We can work on that for you, Ryan. We'll get working on that, but I don't have that number. I know. Listen, we average about 680 cars stolen a year. We are on an incredible uptick this year. We have double the amount of cars in the first quarter of this year that were stolen in 2022, same time frame. So we have some significant concerns about that. There are certainly Hyundais and Kias that are in the mix of those numbers, but we would have to do a little research to get you that exact number.
In the first quarter of the year, you're saying it was double. Do you have that number by any chance?
Right now, we have 189 cars stolen year to date, where we had approximately 90 cars stolen in the same time frame in 2022.
And would you say like most of them are these models of cars, or?
It's a mix. I wouldn't say most of them, no, but
And
they're.
in the other scenarios, what's the problem there? Just that people keep their cars running, or what's the problem in the other scenarios?
We still need the help from the community to make sure that they're aware of where their key fobs are, that they guard their property, they make sure that they don't leave a car running unattended, that's unsecured. Those are significant issues that we still struggle with here in the city, and even in the suburbs.
And stolen cars in Connecticut is a massive issue, and we're seeing, not to target teenagers, but we're seeing a lot of teenagers, especially here in Waterbury, take those cars and then commit crimes with them and just dump them somewhere. How often are you really seeing that happen in Waterbury? And
We're seeing it in Waterbury here on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There are stolen cars involved with juvenile offenders, and more than half of those juvenile offenders are repeat offenders that are engaged in not only the auto theft but violent crime, shootings, incidents of shots fired, assault in the first degree. It's a very difficult problem.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's why this is such an important initiative. I mean, let's acknowledge that the problem exists and it's across the country. But what's powering it, in part, is the easy accessibility and theft of these particular vehicles, and the fact that nowadays, which wasn't true when I was a kid, you have social media platforms that can show kids how to do it. The original Kia theft issue on TikTok was one of those challenges where young people are being challenged to steal these cars, and so it becomes not just a criminal act, but something fun and competitive, which is exactly the wrong message that you want to send to people, particularly young people.
What should Connecticut consumers be doing right now who do have these cars?
They should definitely call their dealers and demand that their dealers either provide them, number one, with whatever steering wheel sealing lock, steering column locks they can provide, so whatever technology they can provide, sign them up for whatever software patch is available, demand that be done as quickly as possible. If your dealer is unwilling to do that, demand a recall, and if you can't get satisfaction, call our office.
Attorney General, have you reached out to the dealers? Have you talked with any of the dealers?
I haven't personally talked to the dealers in Connecticut. We're focused on the manufacturers right now.
Is this release strictly concerning these two major automakers?
I'm focused on these two automakers today, yes.
Discuss?
Yes, sir.
I know you faced an awful lot of juvenile crime that seems like it's haunting the whole state. And then the ATVs that are running rampant, exposing pedestrians
Yeah.
and other drivers. We have to address these things because it takes up an awful lot of time.
It does. It does. And so, as you may know, sir, I don't have criminal jurisdiction in the Office of the Attorney General. That's the state's attorneys in this state, and our municipal police departments in the state police. My job is to assist them. That's one reason why I'm doing all that I can to take these cars off the streets so that they can do their jobs. And that's another reason why I am investigating the major social media platforms, because they're putting out this content that's encouraging this criminal behavior. Anybody else?
What's the latest on those investigations with TikTok?
They're ongoing. They're hot and heavy. I can't say more than that right now. Anything else?
And just to clarify, you said between 2011
And 22.
22?
Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I might use hot and heavy in my next press release. That's a good one. Thanks so much.